Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. It is Monday, officially Labor Day. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. It's close to the evening here where I am. I was definitely enjoying this day and kind of took my time getting to this table, but it's been time well spent and definitely well fed. So I hope I can say this, hope you can say the same. Yeah, if you haven't checked out my last message, it was more in the synergy of a specific Labor Day message, posing the question, what are we giving birth to? And some very profound messages came forth. So I hope you'll go check it out if you haven't already. But for now, let's see where we are. I'm not even going to turn over the deck. I'm just going to get the shuffling. I shuffled these cards quite a bit before today, and then of course today before I pushed record. And I'm not going to keep you long. Just a quick little one too. I may not even need a whole situation. It might be a few cards across the board. We shall see, because I'm still in holiday mood. So Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment, spiritual satisfaction, sensationalism in its highest vibration. Let's see what else we got. Turn back over, see what this is. Okay. We got the Knight of Swords and the Star card. Let's get two more. That was too many up top. The Three of Wands. Something just turned over. The Death card. I'll take those two. Okay. Death card. Wow. All right. So we have the Nine of Cups, the Knight of Swords, the Star, the Three of Wands, the Death card, Five of Cups, Seven of Wands, Five of Wands, and the Fool card. So unfortunately, I have to retract the higher vibration of that Nine of Cups. It seems, well, let me put it this way. It was a wish fulfillment or a spiritual, I can't even say spiritual. What is that satisfaction? It wasn't quite spiritual in purity. It was just a sensational satisfaction. Like, what is the word that I'm looking for here? I hear it, but I can't find it. Basically, somebody did too much, overindulging and hasty movement towards ultimately doing more overindulging. A lot of partying and bullshit going on by way of the Star. You know, all these vibrations are not positive. A lot of energy was expelled on account of some return of stardom or recognition or, you know, some type of reward, but the indulgence was motivated in a way that was not highly vibrational, and so therefore it brought an ending to that satisfaction, going from the 9 to the 5. You know, it was just poor intentions that were ultimately filling up this cup. You know, it was fun while it lasted with the 9 of Cups, but the outcome was one ultimately that led to a demise, you know, perhaps an actual demise, I don't know, but definitely I hear an end of an era. That's what I hear. We got the 5 of Cups here. Yeah, so all of the energy, the partying and the bullshit that was happening here has now led to discord among the participants or party goers, whomever they may be. This person here is now finding himself having to defend himself against the actions that were taken and the advancements. That's what it was. That's what this is. Advancements that were made toward his ultimate advancement. You know, he had, what I hear is that he had a great time on the way up, you know, because there was some stature or prominence that was reached, or at least almost acquired in a sensational way. Or when I say almost, it wasn't quite the magnitude of what he was going for, because there's this 3 of Wands. It's like still something left to be desired. Like he was still waiting on another ship to come in, but instead of that happening, it just, everything fell to shit. There was a curtain call for whatever this investment was, whatever this ambition or charge toward was, this party. You know, there was something that he was doing and participating in that was quite sensationally satisfying, and it wasn't spiritually satisfying unto his soul. But what I hear is that he was satisfying himself with the sensations of others' souls. Ooh, that's icky. So these cups are not his own. These are energies that he's been, I hear sucking, but that's why I'm like, that's the image that I have in my head. Like, or sipping maybe is a little less, you know, but that's what I hear, that these are other people's energies in these cups that he was drinking up, you know, whether it was vampirizing other people's energies, siphoning, manipulating perhaps for his own advantage. That's what it mainly is. It's manipulation. When we're talking about cup energy, it's emotional. So there was some manipulation of energies going on here that was satisfying. The reason why I'm still stuck on the satisfaction is because it was diabolically satisfying, the way in which he could ultimately maintain this position of control and dominance over others, obviously unbeknownst to them in some way, shape, or form, or at least at some point, but that were benefiting whatever his ambition or purpose was to, as I said, ultimately exalt himself. And there was some big one he was waiting on here with the 3 of Wands, because 3 of Wands is like you haven't already set out a plan and even expel some energy, and you just waiting for your reward to come in. It's like you can count on it. Ultimately, we literally say you're waiting for your ships to come in, but instead it's like something came to a dead halt, like a screeching halt. There was something that was sent for, that was certain, or at least certain for him. Because this is what's giving me this. There's some acquisition of spirits that happens here. This is a little bit on the darker side of things, so hold on to your butts. There was some acquisition of spirits that has been done over and over by this energy. Perhaps siphoning energies of stars, you know, of other prominent creators or individuals, or just people that have some type of exalted purpose in the earth, one where that is clear and expressed. Not that we all don't in some way, but there are some that are much more intentional about their pursuit and expression of it, and there are those that, you know, may have not connected to it yet. But there's been a connection to those that were absolutely in tune to their brilliance in one way, shape, or form, and he was in tune to it as well. There was some connection of sorts that was being forged to ultimately, as I said, siphon the vibration, the energy from these particular beings and almost like captivate it and capture it in his own little trophy room. That's what that looks like to me with the Nine of Cups. Like he was holding energies hostage, and also as like prized possessions, you know, literally possessions. I'm surprised the devil card ain't out here. Possessing energies and by way of emotional and perhaps even mental with the Knight of Swords manipulation. And it was something that was like clockwork. It was being done over and over again, at least 9 times here with these 9 cups, if not more. But it was something that was being done continuously, and he was starting to even develop a bit of a God complex about it, which is why he was so confident here at this Three of Wands stage that whatever he did, you know, or whatever he was doing at this particular time was going to be the big one and really put him at the top of the game, you know. But alas, the Death card is here. The Five of Cups is disappointment, depression, despair. Something went wrong. I wonder what, other than just the intention of this from the damn jump, right? But something went wrong. Something was stopped and blocked in its tracks here. And now he's having to defend himself from the very energies that he either possessed or, what is this? The 5. From the plans that he dispatched. Perhaps these are individuals that he enlisted to be a part of this plot and, you know, whatever this thing is. But whomever he's been in connection to, co-creating with, collaborating, conspiring, ultimately with the Five of Wands card is definitely not a high vibrational energy in this sense, is now his own obstruction. You know, it's like this is him on both sides. The foolish action that he took, even perhaps feeling like he was about to get a new beginning, a way out from this cycle, you know, maybe a clean break in some way, shape, or form, or that he had, I don't know, maybe perhaps finagled some, maybe that's what the Three of Wands was, that he thought he had actually finagled his way out of the justice of this experience. And what he's going to be met with, or is met with at this time, is the very competition that he incited in the first place. So the chaos and competition that was created through this motivation and these dark motivations and intentions to be the star, now is the competition. It's like that saying, like, whoever you step on the way up is who you have to meet on the way down, or something along those lines. You get the point of what I'm saying. Like, what goes up must come down, and whomever you had to, you know, this is chaos and competition and confusion, and whomever, and this is someone that's very determined, and almost in a very entitled way, and also not with the Knight of Swords, especially in this vibration, he can be very cutthroat, you know, willing to step on anyone to get to wherever he's going so fast and furious, you know. And in this case, it was to some prominence of persona or position or power or appearance, you know, something that would put him on display is what he was after. And all this energy that perhaps the energy that he used to gain this advantage and to get to this step, when it all comes tumbling down, is exactly what he's going to have to face, or what he is facing. Because now people are angry. All these people are angry. They are fighting amongst each other in this sense, but they all, what I'm hearing, they might all be fighting for those who can get to him first. You know, this is a lot of anger in this card. So while he's dealing with the demise of his great plan in that regard, perhaps even having a spiritual death on account of the demise, which definitely makes sense here with the Five of Cups, that it's been a great fall from grace for this individual. Maybe not the mildest one, you know, or the most merciful one at this point, because it doesn't appear to me that there was a surrender to the spirit. It presents to me that there was an insistence on the same energy here, and that the spirit itself, the supreme spirit of all, is what stopped the madness ultimately. So when you have to get dropped down by a spirit outside of you, that's a hard hit. That's a long way down. And it's hard to bring yourself out of this stage where you're crying over spilled milk, trying to figure out where you went wrong at the Nine of Cups, thinking about how it was when you had it all, when you were, you know, when you had that power all in your hands and you could have done anything in the world with it, and analyzing your choices over and over again, and how you were so close yet so far, because here you are at this point at the Five of Cups, not even willing to see the Two Cups behind you, that you're not that far from grace. You know, the Nine you are, but you aren't. It's just the overindulgence that you're far from. And that's also the indication in the Nine of Cups that this could have been over drinking, over drugging, over just some type of debilitating addiction that caused a disruption in the spirit and an imbalance in the spirit, and ultimately jilted divine intuition, you know, to be able to see the handwriting on the wall, and maybe, you know, have some self-control to stop self from this continued cycle before it could be a demise unto his own self. So we got the Five of Cups here, where there are still Two Cups behind them. The difference between the Nine and the Two was 7, and in the Seven of Cups, it's a lot of confusion. It's very hazy. There's options, but you don't really know which one to choose. Your spirit is a little bit, you know, jilted, because the choice you make is life or death. You know, is what I'm hearing. Literally, the Death card here is like, there's some options that just are straight up poison in the Seven of Cups. Far more poisonous options than there are actually options that are viable or vital. So if you're in this depressive position where you're seeing everything glass not just half full, but empty, because you see all your cups spilled, not even noticing the two behind you, that can make for a really low vibrational initial point of decision making and manifestation. Because instead of you choosing something that's going to be good for you and forwarding, you know, in spite of all that you've incurred, you may be prone to still continue this cycle of toxicity and despair, because you haven't had the opportunity to heal from these unfavorable circumstances. So it's a real tough spot to be. And so anyway, he's dealing with that, then dealing with his own internal issues, dealing with having to, seems to me, physically defend himself in his own right, perhaps even from himself, based on what I just said, and then having outside interference enemies that want a piece of him as well. So he's fighting demons on the inside, fighting, I hate to call them demons, but for him they are. For him, they're demons on the outside, because they're dead set on some avenging or revenging of however they feel wronged, or disadvantaged. Who knows, who knows what the relationship truly is. They could have been in connection with all of this and just don't like how things turned out. Or, as I said, they could be the ones that were disadvantaged on account of his actions, the ones that were actually taken advantage of. It may be a mix of two. Who really knows? I hear there's no honor amongst thieves. So if he was doing this thing in one regard, it's quite possible that birds of a feather most likely were flocking together. And the dishonor here is just rearing its ugly head from what it already was. People that were looking to be more powerful than the next and to prove their worth over the other, and it's survival of the fittest, and every man for himself. Ultimately, literally, the full energy out here, where, as I said, at this point, he would completely love to have a new beginning. Perhaps maybe even thinking about completely changing his ways. It's funny, I was just watching a movie with my son called The Bad Guys, and we didn't get through it all because he got tired of it, and I said, all right, well, I'll do my reading now, and then we'll come back and watch the other half. But it was right at the midpoint, just about where the bad guy decides to kind of finesse the authorities. It's a kid's movie. I don't know if it's on Peacock right now, but he decides, it's a wolf, and he decides to try to finesse the authorities who had just arrested him for stealing, ultimately, by proposing that he could actually be a changed man. If he had a second chance, then he could turn from a bad guy to a good guy. And that's the energy this is giving me right now, that he wants to prove in some way. Now, the wolf was, like I said, totally finessing. You can tell, that he was manipulating the situation because ultimately he wants to be free. You can start to see the foreshadowing that there's something within him that does want to be good, but for whatever reason that keeps getting buried deep within the continuous cycle and collaborations, his little posse and crew that he keeps getting caught up with, being glamored by these opportunities to steal and steal treasures and rob banks and things like that, and ultimately prove himself to be the ultimate thief, amongst the police and authorities that are in this city or town or whatever the heck it is. But, that's the vibration here, in a sense. Like, nothing is ever, coincidence, not even me watching that little movie today. But this energy wants a new beginning, to be able to say, I can change, I could do something different, literally have a spiritual death. I learned my lesson, but ultimately he's walking right back into the same chaos that he came out of, So let's go a few more and see, but I can't call it, especially based on this vibration here. It's like, and as I was saying, it's like the wolf was trying to finesse the governor to give him a second chance, ultimately because he didn't want to go to jail. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it sounds good that now that your plan has been foiled and, you're down at the bottom, it sounds good to call out to spirit now at this point and say, oh, I want to do something different. I'll start from nothing. I'll give it all up and I'll do whatever it takes. That sounds real good, but it may be a bit too late to make such a turnaround, especially without having to at least face all of the energy that you expelled in the first place. And that's this here. Let me get one more. Or two if it comes out, just to finish up this bottom. That's too many. But that was the Hierophant card. That's too many. Let's see. We got the 3 of Pentacles and then the 7. Yeah, and which would be a 10 together. It's still with the idea of monetary gain, you know, with these Pentacle cards, especially with his mind on the prize for the 10. It's like, buddy, you got a long ways to go. And here's that 7 of Cups that I was talking about. Exactly. You know, a 7-7 right here. Wasn't there another 7? Yeah, 7-7-7. Interesting. Yeah, because even if there was, and like I said, with the wolf and the bad guys, there was something in him that you could see at different parts up until when I watched that, you know, he wants to be good. It's in there. It's somewhere in there. But in the grand scheme of things, to the point that I've seen, he's still a finesser. He's still looking to get one up or get one over and talk his way out of a sticky situation instead of actually doing the right thing, you know, making the best decision. And now, you know, here we are with this 3 of Pentacles, which is about collaborative efforts, you know, working together, even higher education. With the 7, yeah, he's still got his thoughts set on how he can maybe assemble a new crew or pull some new resources, i.e. people, and maybe not finesse them in the ways that he did before. It's like he's bargaining with himself in a sense. And in an effort, like internally, that's what's going on. Because remember, this is the internal struggle. He's bargaining for chips within himself, perhaps with these demons internally. That makes a lot of sense with this 3 of Pentacles. Like, well, trying to rob Peter to pay Paul, because there are demonic forces of which he has devoted himself to by way of this energy here that have an expectation for some return on their investment. You know, that's what this is speaking to me. Like these forces that he aligned with, regardless of what, it's like there was something that he was supposed to offer up or bring back. Maybe that's what this 3 of Wands is, why it was a missed opportunity, because, okay, death. Okay. So yeah, you was doing too much, buddy. You was doing way too much. The demise, this continuation was good for the darker powers that be that he submitted himself to or with, as long as it was working. But once it stopped working, and you know, these are sacrifices that I'm hearing in these 9 of Cups, these energies that he was bringing to some demise or siphoning energy from, or some way of manipulation that was actually like funneling that energy, not just to him, but like I said, in the line of sacrifice here with these 3, this is like dark energy conspiring in some dark place. Like this looks like a basement almost. That's what he was in alignment with. You know, whether that was the initial intention or not, that's what it funneled into, like literally how this is turning into a funnel. And they want something, and he don't have nothing to give with the 7 of Pentacles. You know, the sacrifice is not adding up to what was bargained for ultimately. Somebody's supposed to be on the chopping block, and they're not. So in that regard, the cups are spilled because he's looking at, it's like pulling out your pockets and you got nothing but lint, you know, rabbit ears. And he's looking in his pockets like, who can I offer up? What can I do? Ain't no amount of material money you can offer spirits that are in expectation for souls. It doesn't balance. The math don't math in that regard. So given he's kind of odd man out right now, doesn't really have a collaborative force as he did before. Like these are all powerful people in some way, shape, or form, but they all mad at him for whatever reason. Maybe perhaps because this energy of his failed mission is now falling back on them, and now they want to offer his ass up on account of what he's the energy that he's the backlash is what I hear that's coming back on this group or this coven or team, or this is like a upside down pyramid scheme, a pyramid scheme going wrong. And I think I have talked about a psycho pyramid scheme where spirits and souls are the commodity in some way, shape, or form, destroying people's lives for satisfaction. Again, I'm saying spiritual, I'm hearing spiritual satisfaction, but it's not in a pure sense. It's like people powering up on the sheer pleasure of holding power over others, manipulating others' lives and energies and, destinies, ultimately, prosperities and, potential. These are high-powered energies that are being, taken advantage of and don't even know it. And maybe perhaps some of these high-powered energies are, like I said, are actually in this group or in this affiliation. But either way, shape, or form, he's a little lonely out here on this limb, now that people are upset with him. So in one regard, he's looking to bargain again, make a new deal, or, at least bargain with, renegotiate the terms of the agreement as they were. And it's going to be a no-go, for the spirit, because whatever price was set is what was expected. There's no wiggle room in that when you're talking about demonic forces. Even God could be bargained with. Who was that? Was that Abraham? When I think it was when he was about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, I believe it was. And Abraham was like, I think it was, but I think that's when Lot was still there, or his cousin was still there. And he's like, well, what if there were 10 good people? I think he started at a higher number, like 30 or 40 or something like that. And then he kept coming down and well, what if there's 20 good people still left in the city? And God's like, okay, I won't destroy it. And then he thought about, like, well, hold on, what if there's 15? I don't think it was 15, but just rock with me. What about 10? If it's just 10 good folks in the city, can it be said? What about 2, God? Can we get a strong couple? And at every question, God still was in agreement, like, okay, all right, I won't do it. I won't. If you can find 5, sure, I won't completely eradicate, burn the city. And now I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure it was Sodom and Gomorrah, because didn't Sodom and Gomorrah actually I don't know. Now it's going to make me go look that up. And maybe you should too if you're interested. But whatever it was, there was a city that was set to be destroyed. And I'm almost positive that it was Abraham that bargained for its salvation in some way, shape, or form, even if it was just to get his cousin out, which I feel is more the truth of it all. But the point is that even God is merciful and graceful in that way, but the darkness ain't no empathy, ain't no sympathy. You pay what you owe, and if you don't have it, then you pay with your life. And that's what it comes down to. And that's a justified exchange, if I do say so myself. And the dark side of it all is that 9 times out of 10, the demonic forces know that you can't deliver on what it is that you're setting out to do. Most of the time, especially when it comes up against certain beings, definitely not coming against chosen individuals by way of the star energy, people that have a destiny, that are covered by the celestial beings that God has put their hand on in some way, shape, or form, that have been set apart to do something important in the world. You're not going to so easily just smite them off the earth without a great, war on your hands one way or another, in the heaven and in the earth, So the devil knows that, speaking of the devil in the commercial sense, but that darker energy that's encouraging you, which is really your lower nature, is that lower vibration, and you telling you have the right and the power to do something that ultimately is known that is unjustifiable, that is known to be unlawful against the spiritual laws in the land, and that is almost certainly going to land you in spiritual jail in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just internally so. Even if you're out free in your natural life and fighting for peace of mind every single day, like who wants to live like that on account of just being obsessive over what someone else has, which is what it all came down to in the beginning, So as I said, here's that 7 of Cups that I talked about as the difference between the 9. Wait, what did I say? It was a difference. Oh, I was saying between the 9 and the 2 that he actually has left of the 9. Here's the 7 choices that he has that now he's completely an illusion about, because so much has been lost and there's so much at stake at this point that he's not sure of himself enough to know exactly which to choose. The offerings from, to dark energies have been rejected, and he probably knew that, but still, like I said, like that wolf, he thought he could finesse it some way, shape, or form, and perhaps still in his mind thinks there's a chance, but in this full energy, but like I said, one thing for sure, 2 things for certain, ain't no bargaining with the devil. You pay what you owe, or you pay with your life, period. So let's see, here we are. So he's in confusion and delusion. That's the delusion part, still thinking that there's a chance he could still, like, he's looking at that one chip, like, I got one more shot. Can I make this happen? Dude, like, seriously. Yeah. You need to give it up, my guy. Still look, because this is the ultimate right here. Still looking to, and this is what it's always been about. Still wanting to be this high valued man by some distorted means. And I'm hearing, especially with his eyes on this Queen of Wands, he's still looking to apprehend, feminine energy. That's his new, that's his thing, to somehow siphon female energy. That's why the Star is the only feminine out here up until now with the Queen of Wands, that he somehow, what's the Queen of Wands? Let me see. Yeah, look at this. And to stop the progress of such, to keep her in oh, you think you're gonna switch? Oh, wow. So there's something here where he feels that his last bargaining chip is to somehow switch. He's looking to find a place for his sacrifice, to switch places. And it just started raining. Interesting. He's looking to find a sacrificial lamb to offer in place of himself. This is why he's looking at his chips. Let me see what I got, so that he can finesse yet again to elevate himself to the appearance of a King of Pentacles, almost like a bait, a bait and switch type of situation. Like, look what I got. Presenting himself to be this man of value and prominence and high importance and prestige and position to some, I would say, powerful but unsuspecting feminine force, because her back is actually kind of turned to him. She's not even paying him no mind. She's looking in another direction, but targeting a powerful feminine energy that he can ultimately try to make good on for a sacrifice, and finesse her by way of mental manipulation, to somehow, this is unbelievable. So not only is he trying to finesse the spirit, to position himself to be trying to buy time, like, you know, on his own head, like I changed, I can be a new man, I could be his whole plan. He's just buying time ultimately so that he can find a new offering to once again finesse his way out of his own karma. Crazy. Let's get one more. Can I get one more? Exactly. I was about to say, well, how is this about to end? Exactly. The Tower. I'm gonna make sure you see that, because I don't know if I put it down here, will you see that everything that he's investing and has invested is crumbling down. Everything. And this could also even be, this could be somebody close to him with the two partners here. Like this could be someone that was in, because she got a wand too. This could be someone that was even in this collaboration, or, you know, whatever the hell it is, that's close to him, that he was looking to offer up. Somebody that's supposed to be down for the get down one way or another. It's a couple here, you know, now that I'm looking at that Three of Pentacles. But when it comes down to it, he'll throw anybody under the bus to save himself. And because it's like, maybe perhaps he had a second chance to actually prove himself to the supreme source, like, okay, I really mean it. And if he might have still got hit with the same karma, you know, that he had put out, because that's just the natural order of life. Whatever you expel is going to return. You reap what you sow, and so on and so forth. But perhaps it would have spared him a diabolical demise, because as I said, God is merciful. And you know, when I'm speaking of Abraham in that situation, he's pleading on behalf of people that don't, like, it didn't even affect him. You know, it may have affected his cousin, but the demise of that city didn't affect him whatsoever. You know, he was all the way on the opposite side of Israel or wherever that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like he was interceding for the grace of someone else. And perhaps that's important here for a reason, that there was some grace, you know, maybe perhaps him being a star seed in his own regard, and just not, you know, just being lost in the delusion and illusions of society, and not really connecting to that supreme star source that he came from, being caught up in the way of the world of competition and wanting to be on top and really flex and things like that kind of dilute the spirit. Well, not kind of, but ultimately dilute the spirit, you know, that drown the spirit out. And he got caught up in that. But there, you know, that anointing was still on his life. There were still people praying for him, or even the angelic realms, which this can also be sometimes, like people conspiring for you, you know, in places that you don't even know, you don't even see, is the Three of Pentacles. It can be conspiring against, it can be conspiring for. But because he didn't really, he didn't allow this bargain with, now he's willing to put his life on the line to bargain with the dark forces, but to bargain for his actual life, you know, his spiritual vitality, he was willing to finesse that, you know, as if that didn't hold the greater weight over material gain, over material advancement and stability and security, that you might actually want to make good on the bargain for your soul. No, that wasn't important to him. So that's when the spirit has to come in and cause the Tower and rip the whole rug from under you. Everything has to go. Everything in this Tower, from the top down, destroyed, wiped clean. And that's crazy. This is like the destruction of the city that I was talking about. This is it right here. The fire, the lightning, all of that right here in this card. People just completely uprooted, thrown to and fro, whether this is the partnership in which he connected himself to or with, or just the expression of what it has dwindled down to, that where there were many, perhaps it came down to just a few or two, and he was willing to even throw that under the bus, throw her under the bus, for still not the King of Cups, his spirit, not the King of Swords, his truth, not even the King of Wands, his passion or power, for material prosperity, the King of Pentacles. To be the kingpin again is what his heart truly desired. That's sad, man. What's under here? Yep, and the World card, that's it. And the Emperor here, it's the end of an era, as I said. This is the end of a major cycle and the beginning of a new one, a changing of the guard. So where he may have once had prominence or a position of power and authority, that's over. The Death card sealed that. What's this? It's not that one, it's this one. That's the crossing over. No, because he can't cross over because he's still holding on to material gain. That's crazy. Let's see what the top of this card is. The end of a cycle. Literally. And his own self-sabotage as well is what this 10 of this is him putting the knives in his own back. Because yeah, he may, what I'm sensing is that what's this? The Lovers. Wow. Maybe by her. So where he thought he was getting her, she was getting him, and this is the demise between the both of them. They probably both murked each other in one way, shape, or form. Instead of actually working together, even for their own diabolical plot, they caused each other's downfall, and now it's all over. You know, this is an end of an era of deception within this situationship, whatever it is. But the 10 of Swords is what I was gonna say is, it's like, it definitely does imply that it could have been outside interference to cause these swords, you know, generally, traditionally with the 10 of Swords. But I get the sense that this demise was caused by himself, because he had the opportunity to be spared in one way, shape, or form. You know, if he would have taken a certain leap of faith and really made good on his offer unto spirit, unto God. But because he didn't, he walked right back into the chaos and confusion that he ultimately had been released from. And although it may have simmered down to a little bit less of a threat, in the end, it was himself that brought the tower down, because he failed to be honorable in the way of the spirit. He failed to take the opportunity to actually be redeemed from this madness as it was. He was too confused and too disillusioned with his power and possibility, because once upon a time, what he did over and over again worked. He tried that same old trick again, but this time the world turned. That trick, you know, that it's a new world, that those old tricks don't work in this realm in that same way. They actually have an adverse effect, where everything that you've ever done is coming back to you, and everything that you intend to do comes back almost immediately. I'm hearing like immediate karma, Uno reverse, right away, is what this 10 of Swords is. And that is so unfortunate. So I don't know if there's a way I can spin this one. Usually I can come with something a little bit, but I guess just yet another cautionary tale to be mindful about the deals you make in the dark. Even the simplest of deals, just on account of an obsession with survival, because that's how the dark energies get us a lot of times, with us feeling like it's pride and ego, but sometimes it's as simple as survival. You wanted to maintain this satisfaction, and it doesn't always have to be most diabolical. Sometimes you could get caught up in a job, being there too long when your spirit told you to leave a long time ago, because you like the return and the stability that it affords you. But all the while, your spirit's calling you towards your highest self, to do something maybe that doesn't seem as stable and lucrative as a 9-to-5 or a salary position where you got benefits and you know exactly how much you're making every week, and you can take your 3-4 weeks vacation every year, and Christmas off, and Labor Day off. You know what I mean? There's a simplicity in that obsession that sometimes doesn't even feel diabolical. It doesn't feel imbalanced. It just feels like you doing what you gotta do to survive. But sometimes something that small can grow into something major when you start to siphon more and more of your spirit off just for that sanctity of security as it is, which in this world is all illusionary, because that same job that you covet could lay you off next year, and the job you thought you might have till retirement, you don't even have anymore 365 days later, when you could have been obedient to invest in that time. And then that's when the tower comes, when you're scrambling, trying to figure out, now what do I do? And then you go run and take the next position that perhaps you don't even want to do, that maybe even paying you less, but just out of fear that you're not going to be able to secure your livelihood or be stable in your living, when all along that was actually now an exit, like the Fool card, an opportunity to exit and actually find your way to your North Star, to follow that guiding light that's pointing you in the direction of where you'll be most impactful, most impressionable, most inspirational unto yourself and unto others. So it can be so simple. Now, this is not simple. It could have started simple at some point in time, but this is diabolical. Like I said, I'm surprised the devil didn't come out, because I felt the energy all throughout this message. Really, especially once the death card was here. And that's just how sneaky and cunning that energy is. It's so deep and dark under the surface that you don't even see it taking over, possessing your entire being, to the point where you start doing things that you don't even want to do, but you feel like you have to do it to maintain some semblance of appearances and power and prominence that is not even real, because this is a makeshift throne. That's not a king. That's someone that's propped himself up on a stool and positioned themselves in front of some trophies and has ordained himself to be in high power and authority based on what he's been able to manipulate. That's not lasting, and it's definitely not true prominence. And even the King of Pentacles in this regard, here under the tower, is not true prominence, because it still exalts himself on account of material expression. Not on your spirit, not on your soul, not your intelligence, not your bravery, not your creativity. It's projecting material as an authoritative force, or thinking that you can even use it to yet again manipulate your way into some position of power. It's fleeting. It's all fleeting. And it leads to no good end, ultimately. So this, the most positive card on this entire board is the Star card, just reminding us to just stay focused on our true passion. And it doesn't mean you quit your job today or tomorrow. It doesn't mean you leave that relationship today or tomorrow. It doesn't mean you move today or tomorrow, but it means that you definitely start to acknowledge your light. And a lot of times, the minute you acknowledge it, the spirit starts to open up and make way for you to walk in that path freely. The fool goes freely, in the highest vibration. He goes in faith, and he doesn't care what he has to go with him or what's going to meet him on the journey. He's just happy to be free to go. And sometimes where the spirit may be bound by the securities and these illusions of life, just making an intention to be liberated, to be walking in the way of your highest calling without even making a move, is what can move mountains out of your way, to allow there to be a possibility for you to do so without feeling the stress and the strain, feeling like you got to fight your way all the way through. Sometimes we work harder on ourselves by thinking we have to have it all figured out before we even take one step, when all we have to do is just be intentional about making a step, being open to the possibilities of what a journey might look like, and spirit will come and almost carry you through the whole rest of the way. In many ways, the hardest thing to do when you're on a spiritual journey is to recondition your mind to see new possibilities, because we've been conditioned in such a way that it's hard to get through. This is like our mind, you know what I mean? In society, always being conditioned to be in competition with even ourselves, day in, day out, let alone others, that we're never enough. We could never do enough. We could never have enough. There's always more to be done, more to have, more to be, But the minute we allow ourselves to release those illusions and delusions, is the most prominent first step you can ever make towards expressing your highest calling. Just the intention to do so. So I pray that you are in connection with that truth in one way, shape, or form already. And if you're not, that you will open your heart and your mind and your spirit to receive whatever that means for you, and to be led in whatever direction your highest self, your supreme soul source of all, whatever, whomever you submit to, is leading and guiding you in the way of. Really and truly, in spirit and in truth, let it be so, and so it shall be. All right? So with that being said, I'm going to watch the rest of Bad Guys now with my son. Hope you have a wonderful day. I know the kiddies now are all officially going back to school tomorrow, because I know even here after today, that's what, that official fall start is underway. So with all this in mind, I hope that you are conditioning yourself to have a new, fresh start to a new season in every way, shape, and form. And I look forward to seeing you and being with you on the next one. And until then, I leave you with peace.